DeFoi. Welcome to In Your Kitchen with Bill and Victoria. Victoria Allen joins me, and she's been in the catering business for several years, and we're going to be talking about holiday tips for your holiday party. And Victoria, good to have you with us.
Thank you, Bill, and welcome. And thank you for welcoming me to your show.
Well, thank you for joining us. You know, people right now, as we're doing this program, it's at the end of October, but right around the corner, we've got Thanksgiving, we've got the Christmas holidays, as well as New Year's. I call it the trifecta of holidays.
Absolutely.
And so people are wondering and, you know, planning for their holiday party. What are some tips that you can provide since you've been in the business for many years?
25 years.
Wow.
I don't want to give away my age.
And you're only 23, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
good.
Yes.
We want to get that established right here, right now. So let me approach it a little differently. Instead of asking for good tips, what are some of the more common mistakes that people make?
That's actually a very good question. Some of the most common mistakes are failing to plan. Because if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail.
Okay. Makes sense, really.
Remember that. If you're failing to plan, you're planning to fail. Because planning is the key element to any good function. And to even throughout our whole lifestyle, everything that we do, our day, when you get up in the morning, the first thing you do for the day, for me, it's pray. That's what I do. That's just me. However, when it comes to party planning or event planning, I've got calendars. I have calendars on the side of the refrigerator. I have a giant one. I have a calendar on my phone. I've got a calendar on my computer. And I like to write things in longhand. So my greatest suggestion is get a large calendar if you're a busy person. If you're medium, get a medium. If you're a really busy person, I suggest going to an office supply store and getting a really large calendar. And I just put it wherever it's convenient, on the side of the refrigerator, or if you have the back of a door or something, and write on it, fill in your dates, think about it, and write it in pencil because things change. Since I have a lot of events and I have a lot of persons that are asking, are you available on this time? And when I say I need to check my calendar, I really do, because I have a good memory when it comes to photographically, but as far as remembering the actual time that it happened, I will remember a picture of it. I'll remember a picture of your face. I'll remember what we ate, what I wore, but I have to write down the particulars. So planning.
So planning, and when you put out that calendar, are you talking about, well, I need to put the decorations up here on this day, I need to start my food prep, I need to finish completing the invitations, have a deadline for RSVPing? Are these the kind of things that you're talking about when it comes to putting things on a calendar?
Well, first of all, I think that the person or people, sometimes you're working with a committee. I'm working with either an individual or a committee. If it's a committee of a church group or the Seroptimus Club or wherever the party is, I have to find out, or the person who's in charge calls me or themselves, if they're doing something small, and they decide when. So you have to think when, and you have to think where, you have to think who am I going to invite? Now, who might have something to do with where. It's like who's on first, remember that
I remember
routine?
that old routine. Who's on first, yes.
Who has to be tied into where, because where means space. So I want you to think about, how much space do I have? Where is this going to take place? Is it going to take place in my home? Is it going to take place in my business? Is it a business Christmas party? Is it a home party? Is it at a park? And I've done them all. I've done parties up to 3,000. But I didn't cook. I was a manager. So, and that was at Paramount Ranch. That was
oh my
huge.
Gosh.
So
When you have 3,000 people, that to me is mind-boggling.
committee.
That would be, you do this, you do that, and a delegation.
Yes, very much so. But we can delegate ourselves. So as a self-delegator, I can help people. I'm willing to come here and help set the stage, as you ask me, to who, what. So who is you. You who are listening, this is your party. So where, when. I'd say when is pretty important this time of year, wouldn't you?
I would, because if you're going to do it at a venue that, like in a restaurant or a hotel, they're taking bookings, and you don't want to be in a space that's too small to accommodate the number of people. I mean, if you were to try to get 20 people in my apartment, you wouldn't have enough room to change your mind. So
like
you got to have enough space to accommodate the number of people, and you have to think in terms, at least in my judgment.
And you're vying for people's time this time of year. The invitations are already coming in.
Oh, yes,
So
yes.
remember, everyone else has a life too. So they may be planning a party, and we don't want to cross swords.
Exactly. You have to plan for the seating as well as for
Yes.
what kind of food, how much, the
Yes.
menu. I mean, there is
And
a
budget.
litany of things. And a budget, yes. Budget is very, very important.
For many people, it's a prime consideration. And I can help with that too.
Wonderful. So we've talked about some of the setbacks that people might encounter. What are some good tips? And if you would share a couple, and we're going to reserve one for the very end. So let's start off with you.
Hello. There's someone now wanting to set up a party.
There you go.
So what are some of the good tips?
Yes.
Some of the best things that I could come up with was, like I said, I'm going to decide I want to have a party on December 12th. So the very first thing I'm going to do, and the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get a piece of paper, and I'm going to write down, I want to have it at home. And I want to see, I think I can fit 25 people in my home, scattered around. I'm going to invite 25 people. So I make my invitation list based on where. And if I don't know where, then today or tomorrow, if you're listening, tomorrow, start making some phone calls and find out what's available. So first you have to know what's available. Is this date available? Am I available? Are most of my friends available on that time? So remember to think about what is available as far as your time, what's available as far as your financial budget, and what can you do about it, which I will also share what you can do about financial hardship and thinking, oh, I can't have a party because I don't have enough money. And the biggest thing that I think a lot of people have complained to me, I never get invited to a party, and I said to them, well, how many parties have you given? And they said, well, I can't. I don't know how, or I don't have enough money. I don't have the space. Well, that's not true, because you can have a potluck. Your friends can bring things. I do that all the time. We have a Tuesday night dinner arrangement with a group of friends. We take turns cooking, take turns having it at different people's homes. It's not a financial burden on anyone, and it's fun.
When you think in terms, and this is a good topic, when you think in terms of doing potlucks, what are some of the better dishes to bring to a potluck that will be enjoyed by one and all? And I'm not talking about rushing out to, the local chicken house.
No cheating, yeah.
to a local chicken house and bringing in a bucket of chicken.
I think remember that whatever it is that you choose to bring, it may be sitting for a little while. So things that hold up well as far as in the salad category are things that have more heartier vegetables. A lot of people, they cry over kale, but the good thing about kale as a, cruciferous, rather than like the more wilted spinaches and things like that, it holds up. Cabbage holds up, and you can marinate them, and they still hold up. They're actually better the next day. So if you're the salad person, that's it. If you're the bread person, then make sure that whatever it is that you bring is make a small variety. Don't overwhelm with too much. Specialize on what you do best. If you are the best, if you make the very best carrot cake in the county, and people say, please bring your carrot cake, or please bring your potato salad, bring your potato salad. If you make the best potato salad, find out how many people are coming, and remember portion, may I?
Sure.
Portion control. Portion size is mathematical. Remember, if you are worried about, I never know how much to make, remember, if there's 12 people coming to the party, pick up your plate, put some on there, and say, that's about 3/4 of a cup. So you do math. If you can't do math, use your calculator, and then you'll find out how much you need to make. Okay? Any other ideas you'd like?
That's a great suggestion, and I know that potlucks are very popular. People like to bring all kinds of goodies, and it could be cookies, it could be cakes, it could be spaghetti, it could be other dishes that will hold up and have a good shelf life there at the party, and that's one thing. And then, of course, you don't want to duplicate things, and so you might assign people like A through
Exactly.
A through a D, you bring this dish, E through whatever, and so on and so forth, so you have all your bases covered.
How many of you have ever went to a party where everyone brought like 5 of the same thing? It's like going to a wedding and everyone brought toasters. Same thing at a party. That's why delegation is important.
Well, even with the bridal parties, that's why they have registries now where you have a list of things that you like to have for your house, and so as they are bought at this particular store, they're checked off, and the same rule of thumb can be applied for a potluck.
Absolutely. I encourage people, the sooner that you RSVP, the sooner you get your choice of what to bring. And if you do evites, which are online, you can even do it. They have a thing called evite, and it can all be written up. It's a great thing to do. You can send out invitations via email, and then you can have the sign-up list attached with it. And then you can also RSVP and say how many people are currently coming, and see how many people have declined. And there is a box to press for each one, and it's great. It's the modern invitation.
All right, so let's transition a little bit if we could.
All right.
Our next major holiday in this trifecta that I call it, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, is Thanksgiving. Halloween is not really a time. I mean, you have Halloween parties. And even for the adults, you have Halloween parties. But the next real big one is Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And so you've got traditionally a turkey or a ham or some other big dish that was going to be divided among several individuals. Do you have any tips for cooking a turkey? Myself, I'll share you mine, and you can share yours. I like to take the bird and slather it in peanut oil, making sure that none of my guests have a peanut allergy.
Good point.
And slather it in peanut oil. I'll invert it, put a tin around it of aluminum foil, and I'll cook it that way. About the last hour that I have it in the oven, I'll take it off, remove the tint, invert the bird so now it's breast side up, and it comes to be this nice golden brown, just like out of Good Housekeeping magazine.
Me hungry. Well, mine is I tried this 2 or 3 different years, and I soak it in buttermilk and lemon juice. And I have fresh rosemary bushes outside my home, so I stuff the bird like the Julia Child's thing. Just stuff it till it can't take it anymore. So I stuffed the bird with lemons and rosemary and savory herbs like marjoram. See, people are just calling already for they want to start their parties. And that's a good idea.
That's a great idea.
It's a great idea. We'll get back to them. So you keep stuffing the bird, and so that it's pretty well filled. And you can also lift the skin up and slide herbs underneath the skin, and it's kind of pretty when it shows through. It's like a thin skin where you can actually see the marjoram leaf, and you can see
that's because the skin on that turkey is somewhat translucent.
But it's hardy.
It is hardy, yes.
Mm-hmm. So
and it's going to hold up under the heat of the oven.
So for 24 hours, you can get one of those gigantic Ziploc bags or one of the oven cooking bags. And I take 2 half-gallon of buttermilk, and I pour it in there, and I mix. Oh, you can also utilize limoncello, and it's a liqueur generally made in Italy. It's got a little bit of a sweetness to it, but it's got a real punch. And
I know that here in the county they have a brewery that does that.
I have been there, and I've done the Taste of Camarillo. I featured their product, the limoncello. Shout out to the limoncello family. So we utilize that and mix that together for 24 hours, and then, like you, I invert it, and I put if you do use a device to hold your turkey up off the bottom of your pan, remember, you're going to have to spray it or coat it so that it does not stick, because that's unfortunate when it happens, because it takes some of that beautiful skin off there. And then when you lift it, you actually should put a mitt on. I've got silicone mitts, and you put your whole mitt in. It protects you up to 500 degrees. So I have these mitts that come up to here, and they're only about $4.99 at Bed Bath & Beyond. Stick it in there, and then you take another, and you might even need a helper. You take the other hand and you invert the bird so that it's breast side up for just like you do for the last hour.
Now, you might explain to people, and the reason that I do it is because the fat that's in a turkey is typically in the dark meat. Mm-hmm. The dark meat is typically your drumsticks, your thigh meat, and your back, and that's where the fat is located. And by inverting it, it's almost like it's self-basting, because all that fat now is drizzling through the white meat. Am I right on that or not?
You are right. And the reason behind there's a science behind the use of marination. The marination is used, and it's been used for centuries, probably more than centuries, to break down the fibers and to disguise flavors. In the olden days, when people didn't have really terrific meats and really fresh things, they disguised them by using herbs and spices and savory things and drying their meats. But this cultured bacteria in kefir and in buttermilk break down enzymes in muscle tissues, and it renders it white. I've even done it on a pork roast, where it turned it pure white as this cloth. And it's a lovely way to change when you cut it, it's just...
it falls apart right off the bone.
Absolutely. It's tender and juicy.
Now, typically, when I think of turkey, I think of turkey leftovers, turkey sandwiches, turkey croquettes. I mean, there's all kinds of things, and I'm sure many of our viewers have been down this road. What would you have for a suggestion for that leftover turkey?
First of all, how many of you have ever gotten sick of leftovers?
Yeah, I'm guilty.
Freeze part of it. Freeze part of it, so that in about 2 weeks you can use more of it, because it's okay for 1 or 2 meals the following week. Turkey tetrazzini, turkey lasagna, you have the hot turkey sandwich, and then people are kind of turkeyed out, I think.
Yes,
turkey soup.
Yeah, I would do that.
But I like to take a good portion of at least a big cup of the broth to save, because I like to take the carcass and cook it for 24 hours and get the marrow and get the bones, because there's a different flavor from that stock. It makes the best soup. It makes the best base. So I would do that. And it's got gelatinous. Sometimes you can get this much of a good gelatinous product that you can add some more stock to later.
And that makes, like you said, a great base for soups, maybe a turkey stew, or perhaps even a base for gravy.
Yes, and you can also use it, sometimes you can substitute in your rice and quinoa dishes. It gives it a pop of flavor. So there's a lot of uses for the stock.
And quinoa is becoming more and more popular these days.
Who heard of quinoa 5 years ago?
Not me.
I couldn't even say it. Now it's everywhere.
It is everywhere. Okay, so we've got the turkey, the stuffing or the dressing. A lot of people say, well, I prefer the sage. A lot of people say cornbread, and then the herb dressings are probably the three biggies.
Those are the biggest ones, but people are getting a little bit more brazen with the dressings, which I really like. I like that. I like the unusual. I like the traditional. But I also think it's fun if someone has a favorite dressing and they're coming and they want to bring it. They absolutely, I like to have, sometimes I'd like to have a couple choices of dressings. And remember, when you do, I keep doing this, sorry. When you do stuff your turkey, it's going to take another additional hour to cook. If you cook it unstuffed, it cuts down the cooking time. So, and you have to remember, sometimes you have to use your thermometer to make sure that the insides are done enough.
Yeah, because
so
that
we
internal
don't want
temperature.
salmonella.
Yeah,
That's
that internal temperature is very, very important.
So
And that's
good
a great
thermometer.
tip. Yeah, and the cooking thermometer is a great way to,
It's a good gift.
yes, it is a great gift. I mean, some turkeys even come with one of those thermometers that
Yeah,
will
the
pop
Butterball.
up.
Pop.
The butter, yeah,
Yeah.
they'll pop up when the turkey is done. Fresh versus frozen turkeys, which is your recommendation?
I like fresh, but hey,
Me too.
the taste for fresh I prefer. However, with this method that I shared, I can get that taste because I am utilizing the marination process. So if you can get a frozen turkey for $6, get two of the smaller ones. That's what I do. I'll get 2 or 3 if I can and stick them in the freezer, because I like to make my own lunch meats that are unprocessed, my own turkey salad and so forth throughout the year. And it keeps in your freezer for about 3 months. But for that special day, you definitely, if you can get a fresh turkey, get a fresh turkey. If you can't, please make sure your turkey is thawed before you
Very important.
have it in your refrigerator for at least 3 days. If it's a medium-sized 15-pounder, 3 days. That means Thanksgiving's on Thursday. Your turkey should be in the refrigerator by Monday, right?
That's right. Well, I like the fresh only because you can
Just
take it home from the store, put it in the refrigerator overnight, a couple of days, boom, bing, bang, boom, it's in the oven, you're all set.
And you can plan that ahead too. Call your butcher, Vaughn's even, and you can say, I want to pick up my fresh turkey on
such and such a
Wednesday.
day.
And that way you're guaranteed a fresh turkey so that you don't have to go picking through it. So that's probably the smartest way to get your fresh turkey, something
Exactly,
like
yeah, that's a wonderful way. Side dishes for a Thanksgiving meal, what would be some good ones? I know the traditional is the green bean casserole.
That's right. Well, I've developed something that is a little bit, it's still the green bean casserole, but I've made it a little bit more colorful. And I like to put the 3 colored peppers in there.
Okay.
And you can, if you don't want to cut them up from fresh, you can get them in a bag at Trader Joe's. It's $2. And you mix it in with the green beans, and then I saute the sliced almonds and put them on the top.
Ooh.
And then I make my own sauce, but you don't have to. You can use a can, you know, the old mushroom soup can. If you want to do it that way, you can. Or you can send me a message, and I'll gladly share how to make some typical white sauces. That's one of the great things of any vegetable dish besides beans. For side dishes, people kind of want those traditional, so many times when I try something new, I've had people say, well, where are the candied yams? So I will make a small thing of the candied yams, but I also want them to try this new kind that's a little bit less calories.
Well, with the yams now, I'll get sometimes I'll go with the fresh, but typically the canned because it's a lot easier.
It is easier.
And I'll drain off the excess liquid and I'll mash them up, add some brown sugar to them, and then I'll layer that out in a pan, top it with some marshmallows and some walnuts.
Yes, that sounds really good. And once again, remember to, if you can also take little cards, and I fold them over and I write on there if there's something that's a potential allergen in front of the dishes, and I had to learn this as a caterer. In front of the dishes, just say this contains peanuts, this contains walnuts, this contains, tell them what it is. It only takes a few minutes.
Well, that comes back to my thing with taking the turkey and putting it in, and slathering with peanut oil. Why peanut oil, you ask? Well, very simple. Peanut oil has a high viscosity. It doesn't burn at a low temperature, say like a butter, margarine, or other forms of oils. Am I right?
You're right. And I've just found at the farmer's market, at the Oxnard farmer's market, avocado oil.
Ooh.
$20 for a great big bottle, and I've been using it. I got the lemon kind, but they've got a garlic kind. The lemon kind has got such pungency. I made a lemon cake with avocado oil instead of using butter.
Oh, wow.
Wow, and then I grate the rind into it. And I do that on vegetables too. So the lemon oil, and I make it on salad. It changes it. It's great. That's
wonderful. Now we're coming down to the end of our time together. So I'm going to bring out a feature we're going to call Victoria's Secret, not associated necessarily with the company with that name, but it is a secret. And let's talk about desserts. What is a good secret behind a good dessert for Thanksgiving?
Richness.
Ooh.
Richness. I think that this is not a time to think about calories. I think that the more decadent, the better. At least 75% of people love chocolate. The other people, I think they must be allergic to it. I don't know, So I may make myself make that, but I happen to have a signature thing that I make, and it's a pie. It's a family recipe that I improved on for my mother, and it's a special extra deep dish apple pie with cranberries in it. So you've got and I put lots of cinnamon, I put lots of cloves in it, and not as much sugar as you might think, and a little bit of real butter, and I mix it up, and it's got that pungency to it, and it's colorful. And you cut it open, you see the cranberries, and real cranberries rather than the dried. You can use dried, but the fresh cranberries are so beautiful, and it gives it that nice little, that zing at the corner of your, right there.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh my gosh. Well, listen, this has been absolutely wonderful. And the next time we're going to have you on, and from this point forward, we're actually going to be going into the kitchen and creating some dishes, and we look forward to having you back real soon.
Thank you very much.
Now, I would be remiss. Victoria Van Allen is her name, and she does a podcast with Mercury Broadcasting, which is out there. And so if you would please give us the web presence for your podcast, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Simply Entertaining with Victoria at www.mercurybroadcasting.net. And my Gmail address is victoriavana1, so it's VICTORIA1 at gmail.com.
Wonderful. Victoria Van Allen has been with us. You've been watching In the Kitchen with Bill and Victoria. Look forward to seeing you next time here on the Heritage Media Group.
Thank you.
Thank you.